Are you guilty of this? Almost everybody knows how it feels, but no one likes to talk about it. Guilt and shame. You don't need to have murdered someone or have committed any sort of serious or not so serious crime to know what guilt feels like. A lot of us can feel guilty for very tiny things, or sometimes even without having done anything wrong to begin with. There are endless reasons to make yourself feel bad about something you have or haven't done. It can be as small as to have forgotten a birthday of a friend, or maybe you didn't reply to an email or phone call. We sometimes still then manage to take a long and deep dive into a bad conscience that makes us feel heavy. Where are those feelings of guilt coming from? I'm Christine Philipp. I'm a hypnotist and mind coach, and I help people to let go of anxiety and self-doubt so they can fall in love with life again with more ease and confidence. We like to be perceived as kind, good, and helpful people, aren't we? Some of us would like to be perfect at all times to achieve that. We have a certain ideal in our minds as to how we should be. And every time we don't meet our own expectations about ourselves, we might feel that nagging bad feeling of guilt creeping in. This is a feast for our inner critic, who can become really creative, and we find ourselves beating ourselves up for not being 100% ideal and perfect. You should have known better. Why the hell didn't you say this or do that? Well, there you have it. You have proved yourself to be stupid. Again. You haven't quite been the good girl, have you? The good boy, have you? Perfectionism can make it really hard to stay kind and relaxed about ourselves. We will always be frustrated. We will always be bitter, anxious, and disappointed as we can't live up to our own expectations ever. We should always have done better, jump higher, be faster. And so should everybody else. Imagine living a life like this. You are the only perfect person on earth, constantly annoyed by everybody else around you, as they cannot perform as perfectly as you can. They make mistakes. They misbehave. They don't do as you want them to. How perfect will your life look like? And how perfect will you feel like being stuck in your own anger and frustration? We will always be imperfect for someone or for ourselves. And making peace with just being human can set you free and make you a person who feels more at peace with yourself, more accepting, and actually more happy and content. So take yourself off of your own ideal pedestal. Forgive yourself. Apologize if you need to, and move on. If we want to dig deeper into why we feel guilty so much of the time, we can go back as far as our childhoods. When we are born, we need to make sure our needs are met. We are thirsty or hungry, we signal that we are. We are tired, we are too hot, too cold, and we let everybody know about that. We have to pee, that is what we do, there and then. What we want and need is paramount to be able to survive. What everybody else wants at that time is out of our awareness. In the years to come, we learn that our needs and wants become less and less important. We should adapt to everybody else's needs and wants. We grow up with lots of do's and don'ts, rules we have to live by. We are conditioned and educated in certain ways to fit in. And fitting in becomes our new coping and survival mechanism. This is where feeling guilty comes in. Feelings of guilt can be signals that we live in a constant conflict about what we want and expect and what others want and expect from us. The problem becomes then that one or the other side will be disappointed, because sometimes we cannot please both parts of the conflict. If we would follow what we would like to do, others might not be pleased, and we feel guilty about it. But if we please others and ignore ourselves, we won't feel great over time with ourselves. And this can go as far as us feeling completely ashamed of who we are as a person, repeating in our mind what a bad person, what a selfish person we are, when we do more of what we want and need and not what is expected or what we think is expected. Feelings of shame and guilt can become the prison we are living in, sometimes to the point where we completely lose our sense of self and don't even remember anymore what we want or need. So let me help you to find the key to the prison door by saying, hey, when you experience guilt or shame, you only experience an inner conflict of parts inside of you. You have learned to be helpful and supportive for others. You have learned to be a good person, a kind person, a friendly person. This part is doing the right thing in their opinion, as the need to fit in and please others helps you to be happy and stay safe. But you also want to be you, without the needs of others bulldozering over you at all times, burning you out and making you feel empty and lost. That part hasn't forgotten about your own needs and wants. And wants you to be happy, just because you matter. So I will wrap up this video right here to keep you curious and on edge for part 2, where I would like to share some ways of dealing with guilt with you. But before I say bye-bye for now, I would like to point out some TED Talks with Brené Brown, who is an expert in the field of shame and vulnerability. I will link those TED Talks in the description box. Please have a watch. They are fantastic talks, and she is fantastic and will help you to becoming easier on yourself and more accepting of yourself. So keep your eyes open for part 2 of this video as you subscribe and hit that bell. And now, have a lovely day. Bye for now.